Most people think Friedrich Nietzsche was just some dark, pessimistic philosopher who said, "God is dead," and spent his life being miserable. They couldn't be more wrong. Nietzsche was actually one of the most life-affirming philosophers who ever lived. He didn't reject life. He demanded that we squeeze every drop of meaning and power from it. He challenged us to stop sleepwalking through existence and actually become who we're capable of being. Today, I'm going to share 10 life lessons from Nietzsche that will fundamentally change how you approach your life. These aren't just abstract philosophical ideas. These are practical principles that, if you actually apply them, will transform everything. Let's get into it. Life lesson number 1, embrace amor fati, love your fate, amor fati. It's Latin for love of fate, and it's one of Nietzsche's most powerful concepts. Here's what it means. Don't just accept what happens to you, actively love it. Everything that happens, good or bad, is part of your story. Your job isn't to wish things were different. Your job is to embrace your life so completely that you wouldn't change a single thing. Nietzsche said, "My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati." That one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. Not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it, but love it. Think about that. Not just tolerate your struggles, not just survive them, love them. Most people spend their entire lives wishing their circumstances were different. If only I had more money. If only I had better parents. If only I hadn't made that mistake. They're trapped in resentment about what is. Nietzsche is telling you that resentment is poison. It's powerlessness disguised as wisdom. Here's how to apply amor fati in your life. When something difficult happens, instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What is this teaching me? How can I use this?" Stop fighting reality and start dancing with it. That relationship that ended, it taught you what you actually need. That business that failed, it showed you what doesn't work. That betrayal, it revealed who people really are. Every single experience, no matter how painful, is fuel for your growth, if you choose to see it that way. The person who practices amor fati becomes unstoppable, because when you love your fate, nothing can break you. Everything becomes useful. Everything has meaning. You stop being a victim and become the hero of your own story. Life lesson number 2, become who you are. Nietzsche wrote, "Become who you are." It sounds paradoxical, right? How do you become what you already are? Here's what he meant. You're not born as a finished product. You're born as raw potential. Most people never actualize that potential. They spend their lives being who others expect them to be. Your parents wanted you to be stable, so you became an accountant even though you wanted to be an artist. Society told you success looks a certain way, so you chased that definition instead of creating your own. Your friends needed you to stay small so they wouldn't feel threatened, so you dimmed your light. That's not becoming who you are. That's becoming who they need you to be. Nietzsche is saying, there's a unique configuration of talents, passions, and values that exists only in you. Your life's work is to discover what that is and bring it fully into the world. Here's how you start. First, strip away everything that isn't authentically yours. All those beliefs you adopted without questioning them. All those goals that sound impressive but don't actually excite you. All those masks you wear to fit in. Second, pay attention to what energizes you versus what drains you. The things that make you lose track of time, that's a clue to who you really are. The things you do only for external validation, that's evidence of your false self. Third, stop asking for permission. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop needing everyone to understand or approve. Nietzsche would say, most people die without ever having truly lived. They go to their grave with their gifts still inside them, their real self never expressed. Don't be most people. The world doesn't need another person following the script. It needs you to become fully, unapologetically, powerfully, who you actually are. Life lesson number 3, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You've heard this phrase a million times. It's become a cliche, but Nietzsche meant something very specific, and most people miss it. He wasn't saying that suffering automatically makes you stronger. Plenty of people go through hardship and come out weaker, more bitter, more broken. What Nietzsche was saying is this: if you approach difficulty with the right mindset, it becomes the raw material for your transformation. The full quote is, "Out of life's school of war, What does not kill me makes me stronger. Notice the key phrase, school of war. He's not talking about passive suffering. He's talking about active struggle. He's talking about fighting back, learning, adapting, becoming more formidable. Here's the practical application. When you face a challenge, you have three choices. Choice number 1, collapse into victimhood. Why does this always happen to me? Life is so unfair. This makes you weaker. Choice number 2, distract yourself and pretend it's not happening. Numb out with social media, substances, whatever helps you avoid feeling it. This keeps you stuck. Choice number 3, face it directly and ask, how can I use this? What strength can I develop because of this obstacle? Let me give you examples. You get rejected from a job you really wanted. Victim response, I'm not good enough. The system is rigged. Transformation response, what skill do I need to develop? How can I become so valuable that rejection becomes impossible? Your partner cheats on you. Victim response, love is a lie. I can't trust anyone. Transformation response, what was I ignoring about this relationship? How can I develop better discernment? What boundaries do I need to establish? You lose a significant amount of money. Victim response, I'm terrible with money. I'll never be financially stable. Transformation response, what lesson is here? How can I become more financially educated? What system do I need to create? See the pattern? The external event is the same, but one approach makes you weaker and one makes you stronger. It's entirely your choice. Nietzsche understood that life will break you if you let it, but if you refuse to break, if you alchemize every hardship into wisdom and strength, you become unbreakable. The obstacles don't go away. You just become someone for whom those obstacles are no longer obstacles. Life lesson number 4, create your own values. This might be Nietzsche's most radical lesson, and it's the one that makes most people uncomfortable. Nietzsche said, stop living by borrowed values. Stop accepting what society, religion, or your parents told you is good and bad. Examine everything and create your own value system. Now, this doesn't mean become a selfish monster with no morals. It means take responsibility for your own ethics instead of outsourcing them. Here's what Nietzsche observed. Most people are moral robots. They've been programmed with a set of shoulds, and they never question where those shoulds came from. You should be humble. Why? Because pride is a sin. Who decided that? Everyone knows that. But do you actually believe it? Or are you just repeating what you were told? You should prioritize family above everything. Why? Because that's what good people do. According to whom? And does this value actually serve you and your family, or is it creating resentment and obligation? Here's the exercise Nietzsche would give you. Write down your top 10 values, the things you believe are most important in life. For each one, ask, where did this come from? Did I choose this, or was it chosen for me? If I examine this honestly, is this actually true for me? As you might discover that half your values aren't really yours. They're hand-me-downs, they're programming, they're other people's voices in your head. Once you identify which values are truly yours and which are borrowed, you can start the real work, constructing a value system that's authentic to who you are. Maybe you were told that ambition is greedy, but you actually value achievement and growth. Own that. Build your life around it. Stop apologizing for it. Maybe you were told that you should want marriage and kids, but you actually value freedom and solitude. Stop forcing yourself into a life that doesn't fit. This is what Nietzsche meant by the revaluation of all values. Take everything you were told is true and examine it ruthlessly. Keep what serves you. Discard what doesn't. And have the courage to live by your own code, even when it makes you different. The masses will judge you for this. They're threatened by anyone who refuses to follow the script. But you're not living for the masses. You're living for yourself. Life lesson number 5, reject the herd mentality. Nietzsche was obsessed with what he called herd morality, the tendency of humans to surrender their individuality for the comfort of belonging to a group. He wrote, madness is rare in individuals, but in groups, parties, nations, and ages, it is the rule. Think about that. Individual people can be reasonable, thoughtful, intelligent, but put them in a group and suddenly they become irrational, reactive, and dangerous. Why? Because being part of the herd feels safe. You don't have to think for yourself. You don't have to stand alone. You just follow everyone else and assume that if everyone believes it, it must be true. But here's what Nietzsche understood. The herd is almost always wrong about the things that matter most. The herd tells you to be realistic, which really means be mediocre like us. The herd tells you to settle, to play it safe, to not rock the boat. The herd punishes anyone who dares to be different. History proves this over and over. Every major breakthrough in human civilization came from someone who rejected herd thinking. Every revolutionary idea was ridiculed by the masses before it was accepted. So, here's the lesson. If you want an extraordinary life, you have to be willing to think and act differently from the majority. Not for the sake of being contrarian, but because the majority is sleepwalking through life, following paths that were designed for different people in different times. Ask yourself, how many of my decisions are based on what I actually want versus what I think I'm supposed to want? How often do I silence my own judgment because it differs from the group? When you're about to make a major life decision, notice whose voices are loudest in your head. Is it your authentic voice, or is it the herd? The herd will tell you that your dreams are unrealistic. The herd will tell you to get a safe job, buy a house you can't afford, and spend 40 years paying it off. The herd will tell you that you're too old, too young, too inexperienced, too ambitious. Nietzsche would say, the herd's opinion is worthless. They're not living the life you want. They haven't achieved what you want to achieve. Why would you let them guide your decisions? Find your own path. Think your own thoughts. Create your own definition of success. And when the herd judges you for it, take it as confirmation that you're doing something right. Life lesson number 6, friendship is choosing your fellow travelers. Nietzsche had a lot to say about friendship, and it's not what most people expect. He didn't believe in casual friendship or keeping people around just because you've known them for a long time. He believed friendship should be intentional, selective, and based on mutual growth. Nietzsche wrote, "In a friend, one should have one's best enemy. You should be closest to him when you resist him." What does that mean? A real friend isn't someone who always agrees with you. A real friend challenges you. They see your potential and won't let you settle for less. They tell you the truth even when it's uncomfortable. Most people surround themselves with friends who make them feel comfortable. They want validation, not honesty. They want cheerleaders, not truth tellers. But Nietzsche understood that comfortable friends keep you stuck. They enable your excuses. They support your delusions. They help you stay small because your growth threatens their ego. A true friend, in the Nietzschean sense, is someone who inspires you to become more. Someone whose presence makes you want to level up. Someone who calls you out when you're being less than you're capable of. Here's how to evaluate your friendships. After spending time with this person, do you feel energized or drained? Do you feel inspired to take action? Or do you feel justified in your complaints? Does this person celebrate your growth, or do they subtly undermine it? Be honest. How many of your friendships are based on genuine connection versus habit, obligation, or fear of being alone? Nietzsche would tell you to be ruthless about this. Your 5 closest friends shape who you become. If they're mediocre, you'll be mediocre. If they're victims, you'll adopt victim thinking. If they're growing and creating, you'll be pulled upward. This doesn't mean abandon everyone who's struggling. It means choose friends who are actively working on themselves, not people who are content to stagnate and want you to stagnate with them. And here's the hard part. You might need to let some people go. People you've known for years. People who are nice but not growth-oriented. People who drain your energy while contributing nothing to your evolution. It sounds harsh, but Nietzsche believed your life is too important to waste on mediocre connections. You're choosing fellow travelers on this journey. Choose people who are going somewhere worth going. Life lesson number 7. Solitude is where you find yourself. In a world that's constantly connected, constantly buzzing with notifications and demands for your attention, Nietzsche's wisdom about solitude is more relevant than ever. He wrote, "The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try it, you will be lonely often and sometimes frightened. But no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself." Most people are terrified of being alone with themselves, so they fill every moment with noise. Podcasts, music, social media, television, anything to avoid sitting in silence with their own thoughts. Why? Because when you're alone with yourself, you can't hide from the truth. You can't distract yourself from the questions you've been avoiding. You have to face who you really are versus who you pretend to be. Nietzsche understood that solitude isn't loneliness. Loneliness is feeling isolated and wanting connection. Solitude is choosing to be alone because that's where the deepest work happens. In solitude, you can hear your own voice instead of the noise of the world. You can figure out what you actually think instead of what you're supposed to think. You can process your experiences, integrate your lessons, and plan your next move. Every great creator, every deep thinker, every person who's accomplished something meaningful has embraced solitude. Not because they hate people, but because they understand that you can't create anything original in a crowd. Here's your practice. Schedule regular time alone. No phone, no input. Just you and your thoughts. Start with 30 minutes if that's all you can handle. Sit with yourself. Journal. Think. Let your mind wander. You'll be uncomfortable at first. Your brain will scream for stimulation. Push through it. Over time, you'll start to notice that your best ideas come in solitude. Your deepest insights emerge when you're not consuming anyone else's content. Your authentic self appears when there's no one to perform for. Nietzsche would say, if you can't be alone with yourself, you don't actually have a self. You're just a collection of other people's opinions and society's programming. Learn to love solitude. That's where you'll find who you really are underneath all the noise. Life lesson number 8. Life has no inherent meaning. Create your own. This is the lesson that makes people uncomfortable, but it's also the most liberating thing Nietzsche ever taught. When Nietzsche said, "God is dead," he wasn't celebrating. He was diagnosing a cultural crisis. For thousands of years, religion gave people a ready-made meaning for their existence. Then, modernity came along and undermined those religious foundations. Nietzsche's question was, now what? If there's no cosmic purpose handed down from above, does that mean life is meaningless? Most people faced with this question fall into nihilism. Nothing matters, so why try? They use the absence of inherent meaning as an excuse to give up. Nietzsche went the opposite direction. He said, the absence of inherent meaning is your freedom. You're not constrained by someone else's blueprint. You get to create meaning. This is what he meant by the Übermensch, the person who takes responsibility for creating their own values and meaning instead of passively accepting what they're given. Here's how you apply this. Stop waiting for life to feel meaningful. Stop expecting your job, your relationships, or your achievements to automatically give you purpose. They won't. Instead, consciously decide what will be meaningful for you. What will you dedicate your life to? What impact do you want to make? What experience do you want to have? Maybe your meaning is creating art that moves people. Maybe it's building a business that solves a real problem. Maybe it's raising children who become exceptional humans. Maybe it's pushing the boundaries of human knowledge. Maybe it's something no one's thought of yet. The point is, you choose, you decide, and then you build your entire life around that chosen meaning. This is simultaneously terrifying and empowering. Terrifying because there's no safety net, no authority telling you that you've chosen correctly. Empowering because you're completely free. Nietzsche would say, weak people need to be told what their life means. Strong people create meaning and live it so fully that others start to follow. Don't ask what your purpose is. Declare what your purpose will be. Then live in a way that makes that purpose real. Life lesson number 9. Suffering is necessary for growth. Modern culture tries to eliminate all suffering. We have pills for every discomfort, distractions for every difficult emotion, quick fixes for every problem. Nietzsche would say we're making a catastrophic mistake. He wrote, "To those human beings who are of any concern to me, I wish suffering, desolation, sickness, ill treatment, indignities. I wish that they should not remain unfamiliar with profound self-contempt, the torture of self-mistrust, the wretchedness of the vanquished." That sounds cruel until you understand what he's actually saying. He's not wishing harm on people he cares about. He's recognizing that growth requires friction. Strength requires resistance. Wisdom requires mistakes. Think about it. Every meaningful thing you've learned came through difficulty. Every strength you developed came from struggle. Every moment of real growth happened when you were uncomfortable. The person who avoids all suffering remains weak, shallow, and fragile. They've never been tested, so they don't know what they're capable of. They've never struggled, so they have no resilience. But the person who faces their suffering directly, who leans into the discomfort, who uses pain as fuel for transformation, that person becomes formidable. Here's how to apply this lesson. Stop running from discomfort. That difficult conversation you're avoiding, have it. That scary goal that might require you to fail publicly, pursue it. That deep emotional work you've been putting off, start it. When you feel resistance, that's your cue that you're at the edge of growth. Lean in. The discomfort is information. It's showing you where you need to develop. Nietzsche isn't saying to seek out suffering for its own sake. He's saying when suffering inevitably comes, use it. Extract every lesson, build every strength, transmute the pain into power. The people who try to avoid all suffering end up suffering more because they never develop the capacity to handle life's inevitable difficulties. They're fragile. The people who embrace suffering as the price of growth become anti-fragile. They get stronger with every challenge. They welcome the difficulty because they know what's on the other side. Life will hurt you. That's not optional. What's optional is whether you let that hurt destroy you or forge you into something stronger. Life lesson number 10. Die empty. Give everything you have. Nietzsche wrote, "The essential thing in heaven and earth is that there should be a long obedience in the same direction. Thereby results, and has always resulted in the long run, something which has made life worth living." In other words, commit fully to something and see it through. Don't half do 10 things. Fully do one thing. Most people die with their potential unrealized. They had ideas they never pursued, talents they never developed, gifts they never shared. They played it safe, held back, waited for the perfect moment that never came. Nietzsche is telling you, don't die with your music still inside you. Whatever it is you're here to do it fully. Don't hold back 20% just in case it doesn't work out. Don't hedge your bets. Don't play small because you're afraid of judgment. Give everything. Burn completely. Leave nothing on the table. This doesn't mean be reckless. It means be all in. If you're building something, build it with total commitment. If you're creating something, create it with everything you have. If you're loving someone, love them without reservation. The worst life is the cautious life. The life where you always have one foot out the door, always keeping your options open, never fully committing to anything because you're afraid of being disappointed. That's not wisdom. That's cowardice dressed up as prudence. Nietzsche believed in living so intensely, so fully, so completely, that when death comes, you have nothing left to give. You used all of it. You became everything you were capable of becoming. You created everything you had inside you. Here's how you know if you're living this way. At the end of each day, are you exhausted in a good way? Did you give your best effort to what matters most? Or did you coast? Did you distract yourself? Did you hold back? At the end of your life, will you be able to say, I gave everything I had? Or will you be haunted by, I wonder what could have been? Nietzsche would tell you, the only tragedy is dying before you've actually lived. The only real failure is reaching the end and realizing you never really tried. So here's my challenge to you based on everything we've covered. Take these 10 lessons and actually apply them. Don't just nod along and do nothing. That's what most people do. And most people live mediocre lives filled with quiet regret. Lesson 1, embrace amor fati. Love everything that happens, even the hard stuff, and use it all as fuel. Lesson 2, become who you are. Strip away the false self and bring your authentic self fully into the world. Lesson 3, let suffering make you stronger. Face your challenges head on and extract the growth. Lesson 4, create your own values. Stop living by borrowed morality and build your own ethical framework. Lesson 5, reject the herd. Think for yourself, even when it makes you unpopular. Lesson 6, choose your friends carefully. Surround yourself with people who elevate you, not enable you. Lesson 7, embrace solitude. That's where you'll find your real self and your best ideas. Lesson 8, create your own meaning. Don't wait for purpose to be handed to you. Declare it and live it. Lesson 9, use suffering as a teacher. The pain is the price of growth. Pay it willingly. Lesson 10, die empty. Give everything you have. Hold nothing back. Become fully who you're capable of being. Nietzsche's philosophy isn't for everyone. It requires courage. It requires honesty. It requires the willingness to stand alone when necessary. Most people will never do this work. They'll keep following the crowd, living small, dying with their potential unrealized. But you're not most people. If you were, you wouldn't have watched this far. You know there's something more. You feel it, that restlessness, that sense that you're capable of more than you're currently expressing. Nietzsche is giving you permission to become that, to stop apologizing for your ambition, to stop dimming your light, to stop living according to other people's rules. The path isn't easy, but as Nietzsche said, he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Find your why, create your meaning, become who you are. And remember what Nietzsche told us. One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. You have that chaos. Now use it to create something extraordinary.